Hello, and welcome to another episode of Sessions with Coach April, where real conversations meet real solutions. I'm one of your hosts, April Hogan, and I'm joined by beautiful.
Cass Wolford.
Absolutely. And today we're talking about scaling without losing your sanity or your edges. All right. So, because if your business is growing, but you're shrinking, then we need to talk. So, first, let me ask, I always got to ask, how you doing, girl?
I'm actually, you know what, I'm doing great this week. I'm not feeling like I want to smoke crack or anything. I'm doing great.
Yeah, I feel like you gave that to me, but
I've been following this new lady on TikTok, and she pretty much talks about like the things that people don't tell you about healing, and that's been very like revolutionary for me. Because at first I'm like, I'm just doing it wrong. Like I must be doing something wrong. So that's been like my whole thing. So I'm in a peaceful Zen place this week. How are you?
absolutely, absolutely. I'm doing good. It has been a week. I feel like okay, so a lot of people think, okay, business owners, they get to just be in meetings all day, and it's just like, but no, because if we're in meetings all day, we don't ever have time to do the work.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm tired of meetings. I don't want to be in more meetings. I want a week where there's no meetings and I can just work. I'm learning that the piece that I love about entrepreneurship is not the meetings, it's the
Right.
work and work without being bothered. But anyway, I love the people too, don't get me wrong. But I can't really help the people if I'm in meetings all day. I'm really
Right.
hoping
That's true.
all my clients are listening. If I'm in meetings, I can't help you. Okay, anyway. So we're gonna talk about the pressure of growth. So when we talk about scaling, everyone loves the idea of growth, but very few people talk about the emotional cost of leading through it, right? So, Cass, why do you think so many entrepreneurs hit burnout right at the point of breakthrough?
Because like you said, it's a lot of meetings. It feels like once you hit that breakthrough, there's more required, right? So it's kind of like if you've already been like trying to break through a wall, you're already exhausted because you've been trying to break through. And then once you break through, it's like, okay, now there's more. There's more space. There's more digging that needs to be done. There's more things that need to be taken care of. So it gets tiring after you. It's almost like you don't get a chance to relax and like, I broke through. It's just more right on top of it right away. And that can be overwhelming for people.
Yeah, absolutely. I do feel like often when you talk about that, like just once you get to a point, a lot of times I don't feel like people's fear is failing, their fear is succeeding. Because once you succeed, like, man, now there's so many more expectations. I have to
Mhm.
live up to what I've already lived up to, or I have to surpass it. Or now people know what I was able to do here, and they're going to continue to want that. And if I can't continue to show up that way or go beyond that, then oh my gosh, right? Like, so there is that fear success a little bit more than I've noticed, a little bit more than failure. They think it's fear of failure, but
Mhm.
really it's not fear of failure. I think I've cried more over succeeding than I've cried over failing. If I fail, especially if I silently fail, oh well.
Yeah.
When I succeed and now I have to keep that up, especially in the times I really don't know what I did. Like I know I did, but what did I really do to get there? I figured it out on the way. So, and that's not every case, but there are times like that.
Yeah.
Like we accomplished it. I can't give you a blueprint, but we did it. So I definitely feel like that is another reason why people kind of hit that burnout. It's just that fear of like the overthinking. So when I say fear, it's more of like the overthinking, whether it's overthinking the negatives or overthinking the positives, or not having the confidence in themselves to just do it. And whatever happens is going to happen, and you're going to learn from it, or you're going to move on from it. So yeah, that's
Absolutely. So for someone who feels like their business is expanding, but they feel like they're falling apart, what's one sign they need to pause and delegate instead of just powering through?
I don't know who I was talking to recently, but they had made a valid point. How sometimes, if you're one of those people who are just continually going and going and going, that you don't always realize when you're burning out, like because you're used to doing all this stuff all the time. So it is important that word is so powerful to pause, right? Like we always talk about intention in relationships, right? But you also have to have that same type of intention in your relationship. So I just recognized today, so today's Wednesday. We are using Toggle and this is, and they're not paying us for advertisement, but we are using Toggle.
They
And
should.
Toggle, you track your time. And I realized I'm at this was at the beginning of today. So really Monday and Tuesday in the morning of Wednesday, like maybe an hour, I was at 66 hours. Man. And I still had the rest of Wednesday, still have Thursday, and still have Friday. So, but for me, it hasn't felt like it. If I wouldn't have went in to look, I wouldn't have even noticed, right?
Mhm.
So, I definitely say that pausing to pay attention, tracking. They always say like you can't measure something or you can't grow something that you don't measure, right? And although some people are like, well, yeah, you're a business owner, 66 hours, that makes sense. Yeah, but if I don't rest, if I don't like take a minute to like regroup and then come back, then I'm working from a space that I may not get my best work out of. So I
Mhm.
would say definitely kind of like tracking where you are, taking minutes to pause and be like, all right, how do you feel? All right, what do you got going on? All right, like we talk about those lists that we make and those different things that we do to be accountable. Those accountability things aren't just to make sure that you're doing good work. It's also to make sure that you're not stressing yourself out.
Yeah.
So that's what I would say. What about you?
Well, I would agree with a lot of what you said because, like you said, if you're not tracking what you're doing, some people are used to just powering through and be like, well, I have to do it. So it's not an option for me to rest because somebody has to do it, right? But also looking at what's your vision looking like? Is your vision progressing, right? Because the work is always going to be there. There's always going to be more work to be done, but is your vision progressing for your company? If you're just so stuck in still working on my vision from last year and still bringing that to pass and working on keeping that up, is your vision progressing anymore? Have you started a new vision? Have you expanded the vision you were working on? Have you had time to do that? Sometimes that takes rest. That takes looking back at your progress and looking where you came from and where you are. Are you still just weeding in the muds of where you've been at? And how much progress have you made into that? A lot of people don't do that. They just get so caught up in doing the work and riding the same horse, spinning the same wheel. They're not checking for their progress. If you check for your progress like you did with the toggle, it will absolutely show you, I need to take a break. My
Mhm,
vision isn't expanding. I haven't done anything new. I need to take a break. That's the
mhm,
most important thing. You can't appreciate where you're going and where you're trying to go if you ain't looking at where you've been. If you ain't stopping to do those mental checks, how am I feeling?
mhm.
How am I feeling inside? Am I coming up with anything new? Am I being innovative? Can I get this to somebody else? What part of the company can I step away from and let somebody else take over so I can focus on this? Those things are important.
And I do want to say real quick, so sometimes your business can be growing and you can be expanding, and you still need to take a rest
Yeah.
because it's like if as much as your business grows, if you don't give yourself time to actually like breathe, then your
Mhm.
business is going to grow, and then you're either going to have to replace yourself or your business is going to fail because you're not in a healthy space. So it
Right.
is important to still have those pauses, even if because the thought is, okay, well, but my business is doing good. So that means I got to still stay active. Yeah, but you have to find time to focus on where you're at and your mental health and and getting away from that's when it becomes grinding and hustling
Right.
and it's no longer just what you're doing. And that's what we said we stay away from. So
Right. So speaking of that, so let's talk about delegation now. So what's the mental shift that leaders have to make to stop being the doer and start being the director?
So I will tell you something my mom told me a long time ago. So and if I do it, then I know it's done right. And I know that's not a good mind frame. That's how I've been for a very long time. I'm growing out of that mindset. I've actually grown a lot out of it. Thank you, Jesus. Because listen, me doing everything doesn't work. So, one thing she told me one time, she said, April, even if they don't do it like you do it, as long as the end goal is the same, that's all that matters. Like
Mm.
it doesn't have to be to the book how April would do it. You need to know what the outcome that you're expecting, and with that outcome, allow them to do it their way. Even if if you have a standing operating procedure or there's things, okay, cool. But I'm saying like you're not going to go through the list the way that I go through the list, or you may not operate it fully the way that I do it, but that doesn't mean the way that you're doing it is wrong and the way that I do is right. So sometimes it's just knowing the objective and saying, okay, here. So that's one thing is you have to shift that. Plus also understanding, and Cash, right now I'm in a space where the only way to really grow in the company that we're in right now is to spread it out because we have some clients that are very, very needy. So And I
And
love
don't be responding back on time.
if my clients are watching this, they're laughing. So for all of those who aren't my clients, don't be like, oh, she's mean to her clients. My clients love me and I love them. But they're so that being the case, I have to get to a space where I delegate because if everything counted on me, I'm going to be in one spot. So it is very beneficial, like to be a leader and say, hey, like these are the things that need to be done. Let's, as a team, work out how they're going to get done instead of I have to do everything. Otherwise, I'm always going to be in a space and I'm never going to have time to take those breaks because I be having a lot to do. So I am learning, and it's been over a couple years what that looks like. Of course, that means teaching, right? Like you do have to be willing to teach and advise and help and all those type of things. But you also have it's way better to take, and I tell Ariel this all the time, take 10 minutes to teach your team how to do it. Although it's like, oh, I could just go ahead and get it done because I know how to do it. You don't understand how much you're going to appreciate just taking those 10 to 15 minutes to teach them right now. So that way in 2 weeks, when you no longer have to do that anymore, it's going to feel so much better. So
Yeah.
what about you? What do you think?
So I have two things on this. So since you mentioned something your mom told me, I'm gonna tell you something my dad told me. When we were younger, we used to go to him and say, Dad, how do you spell this word? And he'd go look it up. It was always look it up. And I used to be like, well, if I'm asking you how to spell it, how can I look it up if I don't know how to spell it? Go read and do your own research. Because if I just tell you all the time, you won't retain it. But if I teach you and I give you the tools to go and find it yourself, you'll understand it and you'll retain it. So that matters. But also, we're solutions architects, right? So our whole thing is that we want business owners to not feel like they're on an island by themselves. I think the shit that has to happen is they have to get to a point where they're like, do I want to be out here by myself for forever? Right? Because a lot, like you said, a lot of times entrepreneurs are like, I can just do it myself. If I don't do it my way, it's not going to get done the way I want it to be, and nobody's going to do it like me. You're absolutely right. But do you want to be by yourself the entire time? Because if you're always holding onto the reins and nobody can do it like I can, nobody's going to get the same results that I can. It has to be me. It has to be me. You're going to be by yourself. And nobody wants to be on the island by themselves. So that's a shift that has to happen of I can teach somebody and give them the freedom and the empowerment to help me and come up with their own system, their own way, but they're helping me progress. Or I can be out here by myself. That's the shift. Period, point blank.
And as an entrepreneur, holding 17, 20, 50 hats, you can only do part of every hat. So you have to pass it if you want everything done correctly. You have to be able to. Also, she said solutions architect, and she said island by yourself. That's part of our branding. So, I love it. All right.
So I work that in there.
I know, I love it. So how can someone rebuild trust with their team or themselves after micromanaging too long and burning out?
Oh, that's a good one, honestly. And I try and equate these type of questions, right, to things that I can personally pull from in my own life. So I had this conversation with my daughter earlier when I was coming into work because I was talking about the lady on TikTok who I was saying talks about healing. And I promise it all ties together. Give me a second. Let me cut. One of the things she said was that a lot of our subconscious thoughts are pre-programmed into our mind before we're even 10 years old. So it has to do with the way we're raised, how our parents talk to us. If they don't have patience with us, if they're yelling at us for being kids, sit down somewhere. You're always running around. Sit down. You got to be quiet. You got to do this. The way we're raised and how we're talked to and dealt with as children pre-programs our subconscious, and we take that into adulthood. So a lot of our negative or limiting beliefs are things that are pre-programmed into us as kids. So when you talk about how we trust ourselves after micromanaging for too long and burning out, it's rewiring our subconscious to be okay with letting people have the empowerment to do things differently. It's taking back that power and going, I don't have to do it this way anymore. I'm going to fall back and take my hand off of it. That's hard to do from a parent standpoint, from a business owner standpoint. It's hard to rewrite your mind and say, I don't have to do it my way. I got to let go and let them grow up, whether it's a child, an employee, whatever. That's hard to do, but it's not impossible. It's just going to take extra work on your part of not only believing in yourself as a leader, but believing in the people that you lead and that you've taught that they can do it.
Yeah, I'll definitely say that is part of it. Like, especially for those of us who are do-it-allers, like and like competitive with themselves all the time. It is a piece of like, okay, but if you're saying you're so good, then why can't you trust yourself to teach somebody how to do it, right? Then are you really that good? So it definitely is that piece. And then also, if the issue is like, well, I don't want there to be mistakes that could cost me business, then you find ways to do it to where even if it's like, hey, for this amount of time, you mirror me, or for this amount of time, you do it. And when you, before you submit it, send it to me. And then after a while, I trust you, you got it, go. Right. But there's got to be a point where you let go of stuff. Like it is so stressful to hold everything. I will say, especially in the last little bit of time, as we've been doing some restructuring, like my team has been my lifeline. Like so, and I know y'all probably could tell that I'm a lot more calm. Like, like it really has. But a lot of it didn't. Like so, a lot of it started with me understanding the things that I needed to fix though. Like it, so it didn't even start with things they needed to fix. Don't say, I'm not saying they didn't have things they needed to fix, but part of it was like me not really knowing fully, like knowing a direction, but really not knowing direction. To the level that I needed to know it. So definitely I that piece of like trusting yourself, but then trusting your team. And if you can't trust your team, then you need to either look at why you can't. It's either
Mhm.
on you, or look at them and like, so why, right? Like you have to figure out why, so that way you can know how to adjust, right? But no, that's my feedback back on yours.
Right. So that's honest. That's a very honest truth. Delegation isn't just about time; it's about mental peace. So we're going to take a short break, but when we come back, we'll talk about the simple systems that keep your growth sustainable and your sanity intact.
The industry's biggest problem: payment limits, restrictions, and shutdowns from the most used payment systems. Another payout blocked, another transaction frozen, another account restricted, another delay costing you time and money. The game seems to be rigged against you. But what if there was another way? Introducing Pandora Pay, the secure, instant, and limitless payout solution built with you in mind. No daily limits, no frozen accounts, no waiting ever. Pandora Pay. Power up your profits.
Welcome back to the show. Before the break, we talked about delegation, how delegation protects your peace. Now, and I want to say that's not just entrepreneurs, that's also managers, right? That's, like wherever you are in the business in any type of leadership, understanding how important that is. Because I feel like I have a manager in my company who struggles with this piece. I could say it because it's my daughter. So, but she's working on it. Like she told me the other day, like, oh my gosh, as I learn to do this stuff and delegate it out, it's actually so much easier. So anyway, back to what I was saying. Now let's get back into what scaling looks like when you start leading from a healthy place. So, Cass, what's one daily habit or boundary that helps leaders keep their emotional health steady through expansion of their business?
Oh, that's a good one because we know a lot of people don't operate well under pressure, right? They need that emotional time to step away and be like, okay, I just need a break. Um, so I think one boundary is letting people know, because a lot of times, and we've talked about this, having the superwoman complex, feeling like you just got to be quiet and power through. That's one of the things we're talking about. Don't just be quiet and power through. Let people know if you need to step away and be like, listen, this is a lot. I just need a second. That's okay. Stop feeling like you have to carry everything, because you don't. And you're not helping anyone or serving anybody by feeling like you got to just keep quiet and power through. You're actually hurting the team, because at some point you're going to crash out and they're gonna be like, what's wrong with you? Why didn't you just tell us? People will understand if you just communicate and say, I need a moment. There's nothing wrong with that. So what about you?
Yeah, and sometimes if they don't understand right away, at some point they will.
Yeah.
And if they don't, and they never do, they'll either get over it or they'll remove
Mhm.
themselves. Like
Yeah.
that's just what, in terms of like boundaries, and this is something that I'm learning, blocking time. Man, oh my
Mhm.
gosh, I have to block time. I'm still not fully 100%. at a point to where I block it and don't let anybody bother at all, but I'm probably 80% there compared to where I was. So blocking time and saying, hey, no, this is non-negotiable time that I am working on this thing. Because if I don't work on things, right, I said this week has been tough, but if I don't work on things, then they pile up and there's always something needs to be done. And so for those who don't know, my kids also work in my company. So they're adults, so it's not child labor and they get paid. But anyway, so there are times when mom, 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 mom. Oh my gosh, give me a break. like, so even times because we do hybrid, even times when we're at home and I don't have, and I'm get to do. No, it's still mom, mom, mom.
Why you said it like that?
That's how it feels in my head. Then it's not annoying to you. That's how it feels in my head. So, every now and then I even have to tell them like, hey, like, I'm not talking about anything to anybody right now. Just give me an hour. Like, just because if you ask me about something else, like, and then my son, because he's so innovative, he has my mind. He's like, business. I want to run a business. I want to do this. I want to do that. And he has so many projects that we're doing together. He has questions that's just like, we're not even there yet. If you could just wait, I will keep you updated. Stop asking me. So, but I love the fact that his mind thinks like that. Because right now I have to be the one to answer all the questions. So anyway, yeah, definitely having the boundaries of knowing when, okay, I need to take a minute and expressing, hey, I need a minute. You know what I'm saying? Like give me a minute, hold on a second. I used to have an issue back in the day. Like I would because even today I realized I had to do it. Like I'm working on something and someone says, hey, April, hold on a second. Let me finish this real quick. And it's not a matter of like not wanting to talk to them, but it's like, if I don't get this thought out, I'm going to forget. And then when I forget, whoever I was supposed to get it to is going to be like, well, I thought you were supposed to get me, so sometimes just like you said, expressing, hey, give me a minute, or hey, I got you. Just give me a second. You know what I'm saying? It goes a long way in terms of like boundaries. Yes.
And I will say more to that point, because I've worked for people who tend to have this mindset that leadership has to be behind the curtain, like the Wizard of Oz, right? You can't know what I'm doing. You can't know what I have going on. So I appreciate that one of the things that we do is when we do our Monday huddles, everybody's like, this is what I have going on this week. So that way we see how overloaded or busy your schedule is. It's transparency, right? So it gives us the autonomy to go, what can I handle myself? What do I absolutely need her for? Because I don't want to stop her from doing what she got to do to keep the business running or things that's on her plate. What can I handle myself? And what do I just need to pull her for or pull somebody else for? But transparency really helps the core, even if it's a big business, a small business, it doesn't matter. Transparency helps everyone know where they can carry their own weight and where they absolutely have to tap into somebody else and pull on them for just a little bit to get what they need. But people who tend to be like, well, I don't want you to know. That's another reason why you're getting burnt out, because you're trying to keep everything secret and nobody knows where they can and can't pull on you at. And you're going to be overwhelmed.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
So how do you personally reset when the weight of being in leadership feels heavy, but quitting is not an option, which I know you wanted to do plenty of times?
Listen, but no, so it's definitely not an option. It's not an option for many reasons, because every time I have said I'm done, I still can't get away from it. I do love what I do. Now, there are times that it's just like, oh man, but I do really love what I do. I will say that typically speaking, I try to make my time. So for instance, December, the last 2 weeks, nobody talked to me. Like I'm done. Like I'm not, no clients, no nothing. This is how I regroup so I can be the best for you at the beginning of the year. So now I will still work on A-Rich Innovation stuff. Why? Because that's my baby. I can't go too long without doing that. But in terms of like client work, I am not available for client work for the last 2 weeks of the year. I've done this. This is my second year in a row doing it, and I loved it. So that. Then also planning time, because one thing that really sucks is if you just really never know when you're going to get a break, right? Outside of just your regular weekends. Planning time that says, hey, like, I'm going to take a couple of days here and I won't be reachable. You know what I'm saying? Like, so taking those time to kind of like know, hey, I need to reset. I need to, also, we do have things called like quarterly leadership meetings where we're looking at, hey, so this is what has happened new last quarter that I need to figure out how to divvy up or how to like. So I do like the fact of how you said like sharing stuff, right? Like being transparent in the fact of, hey, I ain't got it all together, the reason this company is going to grow is because we're all going to figure it out together. So don't get me wrong, there's a bunch of stuff that I do know and that I'm really good at, but in terms of like expansion means new territory. So yeah, we're gonna figure it out together. We're gonna figure it out. We're gonna get on calls. We're gonna ask questions. We're gonna game plan for it, and we're gonna do it together. And we may miss the mark, and then we're gonna come back and we're gonna talk about it, right? So that when it feels heavy, a big part of it is knowing when to take a break. Another part is knowing when to pull in the people in your team that you trust and be like, hey, like I want to do this, and I know sometimes y'all think I do too much, but I also know that I can trust y'all to be on. Like, all right, April, we got you. So yeah, that's what I would say. What about you?
I absolutely agree. I think it's definitely setting those boundaries to let people know you need to rest before you burn out. That's the most important thing. Because once you get to that point, it's kind of like you should have just told us. Like I said before, you should just told us. But set those boundaries, let people know before you get to a point where you can't take it anymore. Then your team can be supportive. They can uplift you. They can, pick up the extra weight if they have to and kind of carry you through that time. But yeah, you definitely got to set boundaries because like you said, if you're not healthy or good for yourself, you can't be that for your team. If you're not resting, you can't be innovative for your team or your business. So you have to, I can't stress enough how important it is to set boundaries in business for your personal time because you need it. Everybody needs it.
Yeah. One thing I will say that I do love about my team, and I hope that I also do this for you guys, I know I did it for Ariel today, is that like if y'all hear me say enough, like I got a lot to do, I'm overwhelmed, it'll be a quickness somebody will say like, oh, I can do that, or you want me to do that? Like I love that. Like I'm sitting here working on this Align thing and I'm doing it, plus I'm doing the homework for it, plus I'm doing the things after you and Kenneth got done with adding all the taxes, all the accounting stuff for that client. He says, well, I need a long project to do. You want me to do them? Yes. Thank you. But I get that from everybody on the team. Like Ariel has a habit every day. What is a priority? What do you need? I know there's been times where it's just like, well, if this, and you don't just do it to me, you do it to other people too. Like, hey, well, if you're overwhelmed, you can pass it to me and I'll do it. Like, so that's one thing I really do love about our team is we are really very good at being like, all right, well, I got some time. Let me hop in and help. So yeah. So what we're going to do is I'm going to leave some closing. We're going to do our little closing comments or phrases or quotes. So I'm going to leave you guys with growth without peace isn't success. It's survival in disguise.
And mine is remember that scaling your business shouldn't mean shrinking yourself.
All right. So again, thank you for tuning in to Sessions with Coach April. On the next new episode, because remember we're doing reruns every other week. On the next new episode, we will be rewiring your mindset for real growth with CEO brain and employee versus employee brain. That didn't, y'all. All right. So y'all enjoy next week. Yes, see where my brain's at. And we will see you next time.
Bye, y'all.